everybody, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Joni Young if you're new here, and today I'm going to be showing you step by step a really simple way to create your own Christmas ornaments using some inexpensive supplies that you might have at home or you can get at a little craft store or dollar store wherever you live. So I've been making these for over 20 years, selling them at craft fairs, gifting them and personalizing them, and they're really popular. They're fun to make. They look so pretty and sparkly on the tree. So I'm going to go over all the supplies and materials we're using today. First, I want to show you the type of smooth foam ball that I get. They come in a package of 2, and they're just a little bit larger than your standard size Christmas ornament. And so you can tell, like, it's styrofoam, but it's really smooth. So there's a few different kinds of styrofoam ornaments that you can get from the craft store. So make sure it's called smooth foam. And each one of them has a little circle right in the middle. So that's what I go by to place the hole and then the hook and the bow, etc. So I'm going to be painting one of these today, a little landscape on this. And I'll be using the following materials. You're going to need a pair of scissors for your ribbon, and you can choose any ribbon that you want. I really love the sheer, classy, simple organza, and I just get a whole bunch of this on Amazon. It's inexpensive, just a few dollars. And you're also going to need some glitter. I personally love the diamond iridescent glitter. I usually use a fine one that's more of like a powder, but I'm all out of that. So this is the only one I could find in my studio today. So I'm going to try this one for the first time today, and we'll see how it looks. I think it's still going to look really pretty and soft and classy because it's really small and it's got all those pastel and iridescent colors. So I'm excited to try that. The next thing you want to have is some high gloss varnish or sealer. This is to make it really nice and shiny. The shininess in combination with the sparkly glitter will look really pretty on your tree when the light hits it. So I'm using Liquitex Professional Acrylic Medium High Gloss Varnish today. And it is archival, non-removable, waterproof of course for acrylics. It's permanent. And the next thing you're going to want to have are just a few little mixing dishes, any bowls or any craft little dishes you have for mixing paint and pouring out your varnish. And I've also got a little example here. I've got a video for this one. It's from last year. So this is what they look like when they're all finished. I'm going to reattach the ribbon here. You can see how pretty this looks. So when I turn it, and then I've got my grandson's name, Zach, on there to personalize it. And I've got a pretty landscape with a fence, trees, mountains, beautiful sun, and some peach, blue, and purple tones. And then the bottom of it, I kind of like to just make it look kind of whimsical like that, and then sign and date. And I've got a little bridge here, and is it a bridge? Could be a bridge or stairs. So there's lots of different options. If you want to watch this video, I'll absolutely leave a link below for that. I've got 2 other videos as well. So what you're watching today is brand new, different colors, different palette we're using. And that's what the finished product will look like. You can use any hooks. If you want to choose like a fancier looking hook, by all means go ahead and do so. This is just an inexpensive way that everybody can afford to make some ornaments that look, I think, really pretty and spectacular on the tree. So let's go over the rest of the materials. I've got a few different brushes I'm going to be using and colors today. I've got a mini micro liner brush. This is by Princeton. It's a short liner, number 10. And this is so that we can make some little branches or stairs or just anything small that I might need for making small details with. And then I've got a mini filbert brush, and for adding some snow on top of some foreground areas, maybe some trees. Always find something to use the filbert brush for. They're really handy. And then just for coverage on the ball, I'm going to apply a coat of gesso first and a color over that after, just to get it covered a lot easier. I've got this flat brush, and I believe it's a number 12. Can't really see it on here, and it's kind of starting to flake off. But any large kind of brush that you can cover your ball with easily, you can use. And then I've got a mini mop brush. They're really soft, but not too soft. They're not like a watercolor brush. So they create some really puffy, nice, soft looking foliage. So those are the brushes I'm using. And before I show you the colors, show you the gesso, what I want to do and what's going to help prep the ball and prime it, I like to use acrylic white gesso to prime and prep my canvases with, or any surface that I'm painting on. So I'll be doing 1 to 2 coats of this. It comes in other colors, and it also comes in clear if you don't want a color. All of them do the same thing, so it's personal preference or depending on what you're painting. And I got this on Amazon as well. One of these days I'll have a store and then I'll have links below for you guys. And I may be using some Mod Podge, but this is something that I've used for years and years to apply the glitter and the gloss with. But there's 2 options I'm showing you guys today. So you can have the high gloss varnish. That's a lot, you can hear that's a lot looser and runnier. The Mod Podge is more like a white glue, but it's a sealer as well. And it's water-based, and it's a lot thicker. And when you apply it, it's gonna look opaque, but don't freak out, because it will dry transparent, and it'll make whatever, because this is a gloss one, it'll make everything look richer and shinier, and it's quite pretty. There's also matte and a satin finish, as well as in this brand too. So there's different finishes and different options. Okay, for the colors, you're of course going to need some white. I like titanium white. Mars black. Light blue violet. Neon or luminous pink. All my neons are by Holbein. Neon orange. And neon luminous yellow, warm. It appears more like orange, but it makes the perfect sunset, sunny color and light inside those little cozy cabins that we paint. It's a beautiful color. I also use this one a lot for the lights on my trees, my Christmas trees. So there you guys go. There's the supplies. Oh, one more thing. I'm going to use this to poke the hole, just any paintbrush or maybe a pencil. I'm using this one because it's long and it works well for filming. So while I've got this in hand, so we're going to find that little round circle on the end or the top of the ornament, and I'm going to line it up and just gently push and turn. So I'm going to pour out some of my white gesso, and we're going to get started on the first step. You want to just shake your gesso gently, just a gentle little shake. And this is more than enough, but just so that you guys can see here. I'm going to get a little bit of water on my brush, and I've got a towel nearby. You're going to want to have a towel, and some paper towel is a good idea as well. So I've got paper towel down here. I've got a crafting table underneath as well that I'm working on. So I'm just drying the drips of water off, and I'm going to take a bit of the gesso, and I'll start at the bottom. And what I like about being able to hold on to this paintbrush here is that I can just twist it around and get a nice even coat on here. I should mention with gesso that you can start, it's mixable with acrylic paint, so you can use it in combination wet with your wet acrylic paint and just start your painting. But just like remember that it won't dry see-through. So it could mix with your colors and make lighter shades of them, like white would. Okay, so I'm just gonna wash this out. So just got a little palette knife here that I'm gonna scoop out my white with. I've got to remember try not to put out too much paint like I normally would, that I'm used to with painting on canvases, because this takes a lot less paint. And I'm going to squeeze out a little bit of each of these neon colors, because this is what we're going to paint the background with, the pretty sunset. So just a little dab of each. A little goes a long way with these. Okay, now that this is all dry, I'm gonna come in with, set those scissors right there, my flat brush again, and I'm gonna take some of my neon yellow warm, and just a tiny bit of water, and I'm gonna start painting all around the ornament with it. Okay, then I'm going to go into my neon orange. And I'm going to just pull and swirl and twirl. And I'm adding it on the bottom so that we have some pretty reflections in our lake or river that might be down there. Notice I'm not blending everything so that I'm making all one color. I want it to be different, natural looking all the way around. Okay, take a little bit more of those colors. It's gonna look really pretty with that powdery blue violet that we're gonna use. And now I'm gonna use a little bit of the pink. This is something that's really fun to do with your friends and family for craft nights, paint nights, along with those evenings where you do the gingerbread houses, decorate gingerbread houses, and watch your favorite Christmas movie. This is really fun. And as long as you use this to place inside, helps make it a lot less messy. So remember, this is the bottom and this is going to be the top. So if you want to have that interesting swirl along the bottom that I showed you earlier, this one right here, then we're going to use the blue to do that. But we'll have our complementing colors here in between. Okay, I'll wash off my brush. I'll get my blue out. And I'm gonna just add a little bit of black. And I'm gonna begin applying a little bit of blue across. I'm gonna use this brush again, my flat one. So I'm just gonna take my blue and I'm gonna go follow that line. Then I'm gonna stop and leave a little opening for a river to flow through. And then I'm gonna start to slide my brush while twisting with the handle. Try that again, adding a little bit more paint. There we go. You can tap as well if you want it to have a little bit more of a textured look. Okay, I'm going to use my filbert brush. Got a little filbert brush here. Take a little bit more of my blue, and I'm just going to lightly pull and flick for that instant forest look, and then I'm going to make them smaller to create that perspective. So it's the same rule as when we're painting on canvas. Do the same thing on the ornaments, and then maybe if there's a lake down below, you can pull some little reflections down there. I'm going to bring a little bit more down in here. So this is what it looks like so far. All the pretty colors when the blue goes over the pink and then it turns purple. So you get all those extra little colors in there. Okay, I'm gonna rinse my brush off. I'm going to dry this off a little bit and then come in with the next step. Okay, so I'm ready for the next step, and I'm going to use my little filbert brush again. I'm going to take a little bit of, just a little bit of black here to make like a blue violet gray color. Create a little tree trunk, and then just start tapping a few little trees. It's a really nice blue-gray color. Helps accent all those pretty pastel colors. It's pretty already. We haven't even added the snow layer yet. And of course you can have some that are just going to be more blue if you want. I've still got a little hint of that gray in there. Try to make your trees different sizes. Don't forget about your reflection below if you want one. Maybe we'll have a little bridge right here. I love adding little bridges. So we'll do a line here, a line here, and then just go up and over. I'm just going to keep going with my trees here. Don't worry about trying to make them perfect. They're going to be messy with some snow. We'll have one that's a little bit crooked right here. Reminds me of the tree my husband and I saw last night on one of our hikes here on Vancouver Island. Big, big leaning tree. Wow, was it ever pretty. And then I'm going to add a little cabin right here. So what I'm going to do is pull a line across, slant, slant. Then I'm going to take a little bit of black, go right underneath. We'll have a little cozy cabin here. Little winter retreat. Just pull a few little lines like that, and then it looks like a little log cabin. Don't want to forget our little chimney. Just a little dab, and then a little shadow below. I'll use a liner brush to kind of adjust that after. I'm going to continue pulling little lines. A few little dabs down here below. Okay, and then I'm going to keep going, adding a little bit more blue. I'll tap in some foliage here. Just little taps. I'm going to start to turn the ball and then tap over here so it just starts to join that other line. And then I'll bring it back this way. Just pull the lines like that. Okay, so I think that we're ready now for our next step. So I'm going to rinse this brush out. And while that's drying, I'm just going to take my little liner brush. Without getting it wet, I'm going to scoop up some of my blue. And I'm going to go across the top on the roof here. And add some snow first, and then just a little bit of it here on this side. Kind of clean up the edge there. Add a little dab here, here, and here for where windows are going to be. I'm going to wipe off, or actually I'll just wash out and dry off my brush. And then I'm going to take some white, just a little bit here, pick up some of that blue, create some smoke coming out of the chimney. I need to add a little bit of that blue in there so that it shows up. We don't want our smoke to look really dirty, like we're not burning clean, but we need it to show up, so it's just like for a bit of a shadow. Then I'm going to take a little bit of black again. Little line, little line. Redefine the black here right underneath. Now we've got a door in there somewhere. Okay, wash my brush off. I'm going to add a little bit of white. Create some light. It's going to still dry that pretty blue color. It'll mix in a little bit, but I'm just adding it inside so that it stands out and glows. Okay, then I want to, with a clean brush, take my orange, yellow, and white. Get a little, make sure I have a little bit here on the tip of my brush to work with. Again, it's just a peachy color, so we can add some light inside our cabin. Okay, now we're going to come in and add some snow on our trees with the filbert brush, white and blue. A little bit more white this time. This is one of my favorite color combinations for winter. So pretty. All those soft pastel colors. It brings a little, helps to bring a little bit of warmth to a cold season. And let's add a little bit of snow up on this bridge, down at the base. Be careful where I place my fingers. Let's continue along. Hope you guys are enjoying these fun ornament painting tutorials, and if you're watching the live chat right now, welcome. Glad you guys are here. It's always fun having live chats. Little pull and flick down here. All right, let's continue along. I don't know if you guys saw the examples of all the ornaments that I've painted over the years. just for some inspiration for you guys. But I've painted hundreds and hundreds. I know it's in the thousands. And I actually had to slow down and stop for a couple years because it was causing me to have issues with my elbow and my wrist. It's pretty hard on my eyes too. I don't make a lot of these anymore, but I sure enjoy passing them along to you guys and knowing that you're people from all over the world are making these. Okay, I'm now gonna switch over to my mini mop brush. I'm gonna rinse this out. Remember, I always remind you guys, because it's easy to forget, especially if you're starting to paint for the first time with acrylics, you've got to wash your paint brushes out. Otherwise, they're going to harden and you'll have to throw them out unless you know a trick I don't know about to save them. If you do, if you have any advice, please add it down in the comments below. It's helpful. Paintbrushes aren't cheap. Some are, but I mean, we don't want to be having to buy them all the time. So don't get your mop brush wet in the water. You just want to take it dry directly into your paint. So I'm going to use a little bit of blue violet with my white, just tap a little bit here. It's a bit smushed, but it helps for, done that on purpose so that I can sort of use it as a filbert brush. So I've turned it into like a mop slash filbert, just so I have a little bit more control over the coverage here. So I'm just going to tap along. But isn't it nice to have those peachy colors in between? And we're going to go over part of your house, and that helps to make it look like it's really snowed in and nestled in there. So we've got our darker base, and you can see how dark it does dry, so you don't need a lot of black at all. I'm going to use a little bit more white this time, just to make some of this stand out a little bit more. See what my brush looks like now? That works perfectly for what I need it for. And you want to make sure you reload often so you're not getting frustrated. And because when you're painting wet on wet, I mean, you can definitely dry yours in between, but painting wet on wet can be a little bit tricky. You need to know how much pressure to use, how much paint, and be really patient and expect to have to reload often. Now, I like this bit of purple down here. I don't want to cover too much up. So I'm going to add just a little bit of delicate snow here at the base of our little bridge there. And I'm going to pick a few more spots where I'm going to add a bit more white. I can even use, look at, I've smushed this in such a way, this brush, that I can use it as a filbert brush for these trees. So I know that these layers are going to dry a little bit darker. That's why I'm adding more white now, but you can definitely go back after. Mind you, not once you've added that glitter and gloss. It's going to be harder. So I've got all sorts of tutorials where I've added fences and a bridge, and you know, you can really take it as detailed and as far as you want. The next thing I'm going to do, back over to my little liner brush here, I think we need a little sun, so I'm just going to take a little bit of that peachy color with white And just add a little dab right here for sun. And then if it's a little bit too thick, just dab it off. Careful where I place my finger here. I'm just going to go around and around continuously to give it a little bit more of a glow. You can add a little bit more to the smoke once it dries too. Now if I add a little bit of white on top, leaving a bit of that blue underneath, it shows up quite nice. I'll take more white and dab this right there. To take a little bit of blue and add some accent, little maybe shutters, maybe a little blue door, just little bits, little things like that are kind of nice. Now I'm gonna work on the bottom and place this in here so I have a handle again. And turn it over. Use my little filbert brush. I'm going to take some blue and white. And I'm just going to start to twist and turn. You can even start from the inside, however, whatever works best for you. Take a little bit more of my blue so this shows up. I just like to do this along the bottom because I think it's so pretty and whimsical, and it will look, your ornament will look nice if you hang it up high, then you still have something pretty to look at on the bottom. So that's why I do that. I've got a little bit left of my neon orange. I accidentally picked up a little bit of black in there. There's not a lot though. I'm just going to wipe off the excess. And I'm just going to go along the top and scumble around. I wonder if we could, let's add a little fence. I think that would look nice. You guys can see how we can do that. I'm just going to take my liner brush, a little bit of water, some black, a little bit of blue, and I think I'll add one right here. So I'm going to start with some smaller lines closer together, and then I'm going to gradually make them longer. And we'll just have a little fence right there. Now shadow, we're going to just pull at the base a little bit of that blue with, you know, there's some black left in our brush, but your shadow should be a little bit lighter than the object you're painting the shadow off of, because otherwise it won't look like a shadow. That one's veering off a little bit too much, so I'm just gonna use some of that paint there. Okay, so the next thing we want to have is our little board that goes through. You can add 2 boards if you want. I'm gonna rinse out all that paint and take some white, and I'm gonna take some white so that it shows up, really shows up. I'm gonna dab, dab, dab. Reload my brush. I'm using no water, a thick amount of paint here. Just adding not only a highlight by doing this, but some snow. Take a little bit of that white with some peach. Pull out here. It's optional. You don't have to do it. I accidentally just went over that, so I'll go over that again. Took off one side of that fence post. There we go. I'm gonna wash the excess out of my brush, dry it off, go back into my white, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but I'm steadying my finger on the ornament so that I have more control. It helps having this little brush in here to hold on to as well. But you might want to dry your ornament off if you want to protect it from your finger resting on it, because if your paint is really wet, obviously you're going to get your finger in it and mess it up, right? It's pretty warm in here. Got my fireplace going. I'm actually painting in my kitchen right now. I'm in the middle of redecorating my studio. So I have everything set up here in my kitchen, which is fine with me. This is where it all started. I started my painting career in my little kitchen. Actually, before it was my kitchen, I worked in my laundry room. I've come a long way. But it just goes to show you, you just need a space. It doesn't matter where. Just paint. Just do what you have to do. Doesn't matter where it is. You don't need fancy materials. You don't need a fancy studio. Okay, so I'm really liking this. I think I'm gonna add just a little bit more snow here. I just want this to dry really quick so I can start adding the glitter. I love adding the glitter, it's so much fun. I think I want to add just a little bit of blue inside this bridge. It's gonna just come inside of it and across. It's a different kind of a bridge than what the traditional bridges that I paint. I thought it would be nice to try a different one. Then I'm gonna just go right underneath with some black for a shadow. That archway under the bridges. So see how that kind of makes it look a little bit more three-dimensional. We've got highlight, midtone, and shadow. I can wash my brushes out, make sure they're all clean. I'll be back in 2 seconds after this is all dry. Okay guys, so what I want to do is sign my ornament before I come in and add my gloss and glitter. And I'm going to use my little liner brush, water, and a little bit of blue gray. You choose any color that you want. And I like to sign it somewhere towards the bottom like I would with my paintings. So I'm going to sign mine right here. I'm going to steady my finger. Okay, and then I'll put the year 21. Okay, so I'll just make sure this is all dry and I'll be right back for our next step. Okay, so it's all dry now and we're ready to start adding our glitter and gloss. And I'm gonna make a little mixture in the plate right here. I'm gonna add, I gave you guys two options. Mod Podge, you've seen me use the Mod Podge before in my other ornament making videos. Today I'm gonna use the Liquitex High Gloss Varnish and I just wanna give it a gentle shake. If you shake too vigorously, you're gonna get too many bubbles in there and it'll be foamy. So I'm just gonna squeeze a little bit out. So you can see it's very transparent. It's a little bit foggy looking because it's wet, but when it's kind of like milky looking, but once it's dry, it dries completely clear like the water. So let's go ahead, and this is the glitter I'm using today, like I showed you guys at the beginning of the video, and it's iridescent glitter. I prefer a finer dusting glitter, diamond glitter, but this is all I happen to have right now, so I'm gonna use this. I think it'll look just fine. And I'm gonna mix it in to this varnish. And I think doing this is gonna help prevent the glitter from falling off. So you can get glitter glues, but I've never seen like a glitter varnish. Okay, I've got my handy little handle in here. I'm just using a long-handled old paintbrush. This is nice to be able to hold on and control. Kind of hands, you don't have to worry about getting all that glitter all over. I'm going to be quite generous. And you just want to try your best to apply an even coat. Good lighting helps. You don't want to scrub in one place, you just want to apply it and then move on to the next spot. Otherwise, you can start disrupting the painting underneath. So it's a very pretty iridescent. No matter where the light hits it, you're gonna get that, and it's like just all those pretty pastel tones. And you can always add more glitter later on if you want. You can add a few layers of this. So I'm gonna just give this a look over, make sure that I haven't missed any spots. I'm gonna completely dry this off, and then we're gonna come in with the next few steps, which is applying the hook and making the ribbon, the bow. Okay guys, so I just took a few minutes to dry it off, and you can see how shiny and glossy and sparkly it is. So I'm really happy. Like I said earlier, I usually use the fine diamond glitter. It's more of a powder. This is a little bit thicker than what I normally use, but I think it looks delicate, pretty. I like it. It wouldn't hurt to apply another coat, just if you want to be like extra cautious that the glitter doesn't come off. I would recommend applying another coat just of the high gloss varnish without the glitter for your very last coat. But I'm not going to bother. I kind of like a bit of that texture. I don't mind if a little bit of glitter falls off here and there. It just makes the house a little bit more decorated and sparkly looking around the holidays. For our next step, we're going to start making our bow and apply our hook. So this will be the last step of the making of these ornaments. We're going to apply the hook and make a pretty bow out of this organza ribbon. The organza ribbon is about 1 inch. You can use as wide or as thin, as narrow as you want. Choose the width and color. There's so many options out there. And the hooks, as for hooks, there's lots of different hooks to choose from. But if you're doing this on a budget, and you really don't, when you think about it, look at the ornaments you hung on your tree, you don't really see the hooks. You see the ornament itself. The hook is kind of just hidden in the branches of the tree, so it doesn't really matter. But I want to go over some of the size options here. So you'll choose between there's some really short ones here, there's long ones, different sizes. But I found, and I'm going to recommend, this is important and it's a good tip, go with the longest one, because it's a lot easier to hold and apply the bow to, and because of the size of ornament we're using, it just makes sense. It gives you more room to hang it from the tree. So I'm going to choose, we've just got 2 sizes here, the small and the large, so I'm going to go with the large. And what I like to use is either a Mod Podge or some silicone or hot glue. The hot glue and silicone are thicker and will work better. But if you don't have any of that, and this is just all you've got on hand, this will work fine. So I'm just gonna, and if it sits for a little while, it'll get thicker. I'm just gonna squeeze a little bit in here. And before I apply the hook, I'm gonna scoop up some with a little paintbrush that I can fit in, and I'm gonna apply it right inside. Now, if you let this sit for 15-20 minutes, it'll thicken up and it'll become a little bit easier and just thicker to hold the hook with. I'm going to apply a little bit after as well, so I'm just going to set this off to the side. With a ribbon, I recommend making the bow first before you cut it. That way you won't risk having a wasted amount of ribbon, right? In the past, I've just eyeballed it, cut it, and figured that's how much I needed, and then I didn't have enough ribbon, or I had too much and I trimmed it off, and what can you do with a little chunk like that, right? So if you don't want to waste it, don't cut it until you've made the bow. So this is just a really easy, simple way of making a bow. You want to kind of have a couple inches here, pinch, wrap it around, right? Just a simple bow. You want to hold this when you pull through, and then you don't want your bow to be too wide, and you don't want to pull too hard. So I like about this size, so you can kind of eyeball it too if you want it a little bit smaller, but I think it looks really pretty with a larger bow. And I think that's where, you know, you can get away with those plain Jane hooks like this by having a nice bow that will hide most of it anyways. So I'm going to cut right there. There's also those organza types of ribbon that have the wire. They have got like gold edging on them. There's so many options. I love going to Michael's, but I found, to be honest, Michael's can be expensive unless they happen to have a sale. So I just get mine on Amazon. So what I want to do, I'm going to choose which. They're both pretty much the same here. So I'm going to choose this one down here, and I'm going to loop this through. And then I'm going to pull it up turn it over, and I'm gonna just pinch it in a little bit like this. I'm gonna take my ornament, push down as far as you want it to go. And then you have to decide which way you want your bow to be. And you can have another little one on the other side too, that way you have a bow on either side. This is pretty loose in here because I didn't wait a little bit for my, I didn't wait, you know, 15-20 minutes for my Mod Podge to thicken, and I didn't use silicone. Silicone would be the best. It's a little bit more money, but if you have some lying around, make sure you use the clear silicone. If you have white, you might notice it around, but you can paint over it to match the color of your ornament. Make sure you read the back of anything that you purchase to make sure that it's non-yellowing. So you want to use one that's specifically for crafts and art. The ones sometimes for woodworking, they can be a yellow glue, so just be mindful of that. And this one is all done. I think it looks really pretty. I like it with my other one here. The ribbon is bigger, so here you can kind of see and decide for yourself if you like a smaller ribbon or larger. So this one's more like 1/2 inch compared to the 1 inch here. So I'm happy with these and I'm having so much fun. I'm gonna make some more, so stay tuned for my next few videos on how to hand paint your very own Christmas ornaments. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment or question below if you have any, and subscribe to my channel for more. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all soon in my next video. Bye.